guys, welcome to another shared news from home. We are live today to talk about Clare and Dale's recent reunion. But before we get started, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future lives, any future Bachelor gossip. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring, and I am joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta.
Hi, Fiona. So excited to talk about this. Of course, if you're joining us live, send us your thoughts and any questions you have in the chat. We'll be taking comments from both YouTube and Twitter. So follow us at Shared News, and we will try to get to as many of them as possible by the end of the video.
Yes, absolutely. Any thoughts you guys have, we want to hear. Let's dive right into this, Gabby, because there is a lot to unpack. And I have to say, personally, I was not expecting to be having this conversation today at all. For the first time since their split in January, you guys, just January, Clare and Dale have reunited in Florida. They were photographed hanging out at a bar. They were also spotted walking hand in hand down the street. Pictures and videos were shared all over Twitter. There's also a video that Dale shared of himself getting a pedicure where, if you're a Bachelor Nation fan, you'll recognize Clare's laugh in the background of that video. They just split and they're now hanging out so publicly, which of course has led fans to question what the heck is going on. It has led to rumors popping up. I mean, what is your reaction to this, Gabby? How are you feeling about this Florida reunion?
Me and Hiba talked about this on another video earlier this week, and like I mentioned, I was just completely shocked when I saw these pictures come out. I was not expecting this to happen so soon after their breakup because it wasn't, something that went smoothly. It was kind of a mess. Dale posted it on Instagram first that they were breaking up. Clare said she didn't know about that or that was going to happen and didn't approve the messaging and just kind of wasn't on board. And so since then, she's posted a lot about being single and trying to move on and even unfollowed him. So it's just a whole storyline that we're now trying to catch up with and figure out what is going on between these two. But at the same time, maybe there is still some love there and maybe they did want to hang out and just go to the beach and pursue something, even though it wasn't long ago. So those are my thoughts. Definitely shocked, but not surprised that they might be trying something out.
Yeah, you put it perfectly. What really struck me when I started to see all of these pictures and questions on Twitter was, wait, I'm so confused. There's been a lot of talk of hurt. There's been a lot of talk of being blindsided. We've been fielding rumors. I mean, I know we've discussed at length on this channel the fact that people are starting to question Dale's motives. Was he even there for the right reasons, right? So I think I had put them in a box and now I'm like, okay, we're taking the lid off. We're unpacking things. Who knows what's coming next? After this reunion, Dale did post on his Instagram. It's just a shot of himself, but fans were definitely quick to notice the caption, which was a lot to smile about lately. God is good. So this comes in the wake of this reunion in Florida. Is this a not so subtle hint that maybe things are changing? Maybe they're open to getting back together? I mean, what do you make of that captioning? To me, it feels like he's got to be aware of what people are saying. He's definitely aware of the fact that people are watching them. So why this caption? What do you think, Gabby?
It is very sneaky and mysterious, and I don't know. I think he has always just been pretty open on his Instagram and vulnerable lately about going through tough things in the past few weeks. I'm sure dealing with Clare and other things in his life. But the fact that he says he's happy now, he was posting his Instagram story he was all giggly. Him and Clare were getting their nails done and he ended up getting gold sparkly toes because he lost a dare or something like that is I think what he mentioned. But it seemed all silly fun and games and nothing was heavy on his heart, or maybe they had some tough conversations, behind the scenes. But what we were seeing is all smiles. So I think whatever is happening, whether they are talking about getting back together or they're just hanging out as friends for a day of fun to try to get out of this quarantine life, either way, he's clearly all smiles and it looks like they're doing a little bit better than a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, neither of them live in Florida. As far as I'm aware, Dale lives in New York City, Claire is in California. I don't know what they're doing there. This is clearly not like two people who ran into each other, right? This involved, in
Mhm.
theory, two separate plane rides. So lots of
Mhm.
planning went into this reunion. What is interesting to me is anytime anything happens at Bachelor Nation, all sorts of sources come forward, right? This is so common in entertainment news, but you kind of have to take anything that's said with a grain of salt unless it's obviously communicated to you from the celebrity, from their team. Claire and Dale have, of course, said nothing on the situation on the reunion yet. But sources have completely conflicting reports. So some source who saw them says, I don't think it was anything out of the ordinary. They looked more like they were friends. They were smiling and enjoying each other's company, but it wasn't like they were all over each other. Meanwhile, other sources who spotted them at dinner think they're totally in love. They told E! News it was just the two of them. They looked totally in love. They looked like a really good, happy couple. There was a lot of affection, kissing and holding hands. He had his arm around her the whole time. They seemed really happy and natural and like they were totally in love. So I have to say, I'm leaning toward source number two's account of events just because I don't know about you, Gabby. I don't really platonically hold hands or kiss anyone. So, especially knowing that there's a history there. I feel like I'm leaning more towards if they're not back together yet, this is definitely a romantic reunion of some kind. What do you make of this?
Very interesting about that second source and this dinner that they mentioned. We haven't seen any photos or anything come out about that. So I'm curious how romantic it was, different than the day portion of their date, whatever that was. But I don't know. I think it's still true that they weren't afraid to go out in public and show their face, right? Because they aren't wearing masks, they aren't covering up at all. They're just out in public. So I think no matter what the circumstances, if it is a friendly reunion, if it's a romantic date night, or a mixture of the two, maybe they're just working things out right now. At least they weren't like afraid to come out and just show their face, which I think is kind of crazy because obviously people are going to be talking and there's going to be opposing sources or fans are going to have their own theories. So maybe they want like some more press and publicity about it. I don't really know their motives. Maybe they are truly like just falling back in love. But I think anytime that a couple has been together for a few months, and even if they are having hard times and decide to take a little bit of time apart, whether it's days, weeks, or however long, there is definitely still love there. And even in the statement that Dale came out with when he was initially announcing their breakup, he's like, I have so much love for Claire, right? So there's probably still remnants of that there. And it's going to take, more than a couple weeks to let that all fade out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, we have definitely previously talked about how much scrutiny and pressure they were under. I mean, all Bachelor Nation couples feel the heat, I think. Are they going to succeed? All eyes on them. What's coming next? But Claire and Dale had that maximized by like tenfold, right? Because they fell in love in what was it? I think the going number was 12 days. There was a lot of confusion in her season. The edit they gave her, showing moments behind the scenes with producers, like it was just a completely different experience than what we're used to seeing. And a lot of people were skeptical even before the season aired, right? We knew that she was running off with somebody, that it was going to happen fast. So I know I started watching that show thinking, all right, really? Am I going to watch someone fall in love in 12 days? I don't think so. And then of course, after we saw them potentially moving in together and that interview where they talked about like the timing of having babies, everything just moved so fast and was so serious throughout every stage of this that I think it created a lot of room for skeptics to air their own opinions. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious what you think. Like, could that have played a role into this sort of just not working? Right? Like, it was one thing for them to find this really, really strong connection. It was then another thing for them to promise each other and the world marriage quickly down the line, moving in together quickly down the line. Could it have just really been too much too soon? What do you think?
That is such a great point. I think the very second those rumors came out, back last summer, saying how Claire's season was going to play out, I think immediately all the fans, all of Bachelor Nation, people who were looking forward to her season stopped and said, oh, this is crazy. This is never going to work. How is this going to play out? You know? So then we had that mindset going into her season. It obviously played out exactly how the rumors portrayed it to. And so by the end of it, you know, it was nice to see that love story happen. But then, like you were saying, I think there were some skeptics that were holding on to, I'm not sure if this is going to last, right? So then a couple months into it, we see they're having a great time over Instagram and all that, spending time with family during the holidays. And that was great. And it seemed to fizzle out a little bit, the skepticism, because they were doing so well. But then January hits and they seem to break up or they're having difficulties. And so I think that specifically is what solidified all those skeptics and said, you know, because a lot of people were coming out with comments saying, oh, I'm not surprised. Saw this coming from the beginning. Like, they're not meant for each other, whatever. But now that these photos are coming out, that they are spending more time together and maybe are rekindling that, it's like, wait, maybe this was real. There is love there. And, you know, they're going to keep going. And maybe they have a relationship in the future, despite how rocky and how much of a whirlwind everything has been with them.
Yeah, I remember when the whispers started of there being difficulty in their relationship, it was like all within a day, right? We had reports popping up that they were taking some time apart, that there were issues, that they were taking space. And then it was like, boom, Dale released his statement. I think probably in response to the fact that like the narrative was being, you know, sort of twisted. It wasn't actually what was going on. But again, as you mentioned earlier, that kind of created the potential, like, is Claire now throwing shade in her statement about the timing of his release? So it was like, from the get-go, the first hint of something going wrong absolutely exploded, captivated everyone because there were so much eyes and so much pressure. And then from there, it was a domino effect of every little move, every little comment. You know, should we have known? Should we, you know, have predicted this? The one thing that came out, I think, in the discussion of their split was how they were just in two different stages of life. Sources close to Dale, close to Claire, were talking about, you know, Dale wants to be in New York City. He wants to live that party life. He's not ready to move to Sacramento and settle down. Whereas we've all known from before her season even started, Claire wanted to find a family, settle into her life. So I'm curious if you think that, obviously, I mean, we see them smiling, we see them happy, we see them having fun. Are they still just on two separate pages? Like, what does the future look like? Did we, since the split, solve all those problems behind the scenes and, you know, the new lease on life is moving to Florida? Or are they still probably figuring out some of those potentially really big issues?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think as much fun as they probably had on this Florida date, that doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden on the same page in life. There is obviously an age gap there. And Claire, like you said, has been very straightforward from the beginning, day one, about what she wanted and wasn't afraid to tell her guys what she wanted, marriage and babies and all of that, because that's just at the stage that she's in her life right now. And Dale, you know, for all those weeks on the show, or it was a matter of days, but, you know, for the entirety of it, was all on board, it seemed, and was, you know, reaffirming her and showing up for her, as she likes to say. But and then it seemed like he was doing that same thing for the coming months. And so I don't know if like this is just sort of another temporary fling where there's still love there and they're just hanging out because why not? I don't know if it's going to turn into any of those things that Claire still wants, like marriage and babies and all of that.
Right. Well, it's obviously going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out. I'm just curious what happens next. Like, I will be so interested to see if after Florida, is someone getting on a plane to California? Is someone getting on a plane to New York? Like, when are we going to see them together again? I don't anticipate them releasing any sort of statement anytime soon. They were quick to release the first statements, and clearly the door wasn't completely shut, right? So I think they'll probably be a little more timid this time before declaring anything. But who knows? Everything else has been a whirlwind. So I guess anything is possible at this point.
It really is.
Gabby,
yeah.
let's jump into this chat and see what the fans are thinking, how people out there are feeling. I have to imagine members of Bachelor Nation have some thoughts on this, and we're just as shocked. by all of these developments as we were. I have already seen some pretty hot takes on Twitter, I have to say.
Me too. Me too.
All right, first up from Erica Walker, she says, I think they are going to slow things down now because they were moving at 100 miles per hour. I actually really agree. I think, or I hope that they do. I think that's the only way that they can have a real shot at this stage of the game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have another one. It says, hi from Ost. Love your channel. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us in on our conversations about everything happening in Bachelor Nation and specifically Clare and Dale today.
Love it. That's so sweet. All right, another one from Zuri. Dale is probably not ready to be engaged and they're probably taking things slow and will try to make things work out, but just as girlfriend and boyfriend. I think this is a totally plausible option. Perhaps the pressure of dating each other as potentially like husband and wife is too much pressure. Maybe they just need to date in a casual manner and see how that goes before they make that commitment. Who knows?
Lauren said, I hope that things get better because if not, then they will break up again. That's very true. I am definitely hoping that, if Dale's intentions still aren't pure or if they're really not on the same page, that he doesn't keep leading Clare on, so she can just be spending more time in a relationship that might go to the place that she wants. But, hopefully it's there and they've just communicated because communication is key. So, whatever's going on, just got to talk it out and figure things out.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone named GJ says, your Shared News guest host, Dave Neal, sleuthed out that it seems they also had dinner together at Rosebud's Steak and Seafood. Yes, so this is that dinner that those sources said that they looked absolutely in love at. So clearly they've had a couple of different spots that they've hit in Florida. And, I think it's totally possible that some eyewitnesses saw two people walking down the street and were like, whatever, two people. And someone else saw them at this romantic dinner date, perhaps after they had had some conversations and had more time reunited, and thinks they're in love. It's really going to be interesting to see what happens next.
GJ said they posted photos of their dinners and you can see the asparagus appetizer they shared in both of their photos. Okay, so yeah, I have not seen these dinner photos yet, but I'm gonna have to look into it because I definitely want to see that. And sharing food is very romantic. I'm sure it was candlelit and, a nice dim restaurant. So it sounds romantic to me, that's for sure.
Yeah, and this is the second little Instagram. They know people in Bachelor Nation are sleuths. I mean, hello, between the pedicure, between this, they're not hiding, They know people are smart. Let's see. Looks like we might have a few more. There we go. Oh, another from DJ. They said maybe they need to spend some time together to process their breakup and build a friendship. I wouldn't say that I disagree with this. I just think if you're trying to build a friendship, you probably shouldn't be kissing and holding hands and being so affectionate, not because you're doing anything wrong, just because if the main goal is truly a friendship, that's just going to make it more complicated, right? I mean, I wouldn't be able to go about it that way at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Heidi said, I don't know what to think about it all. Very true. It's a lot to process, that's for sure. There's so many details. It seems like every day there's something new in this storyline, but if you just follow along with our videos, we'll keep you updated on all of
it. Certainly will do our best. Kate says, too much media. Maybe they wanted to just not have the media. I have to say, Kate, she says something else. Okay. And they wanted a real shot without that. Okay. Still have the same thought here. I hate to say that I disagree, but in a certain way I do, just because they could have, like you mentioned, Gabby, worn masks. They could have, not gone to dinner so publicly and ordered in. They could have not posted the pedicure video. Clearly they're both posting photos of asparagus, right? So it's like, to me, that there is attention on you. So these actions make me think that that wasn't their main goal. Maybe I'm wrong and they're just not as smart as I'm giving them credit for, right? But I have to think that they knew media was going to hop on this immediately. Let's see. All right. So it looks like those are all of the messages we have time for today. You guys, if we didn't get to yours, we obviously are dying to know your thoughts. So hop in the comments, leave us any questions, any comments that didn't make it into the show, and we will definitely try to take a look. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I mentioned, tell us, are you Team Clare and Dale moving forward? Do you hope that this reunion continues and leads back to a relationship? I'm not sure if I know how I feel yet, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. As always, I'm your host, Anna Zaring, who's joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta. If you want to come say hi, you can check us out on our socials. The handles will be on your screen right now. Thank you all so much for watching.